All right, so woke up this morning to the news that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has been stripped of Arsenal captaincy after the latest breach. This is the second time for sure that something has happened between Aubameyang and Arsenal or Arteta, if you want to look at it that way. Since Arteta's been at the club, which is 2 years, I believe, next week on the 19th. So 5 days or so. I believe it's on the 19th. So 5 or 6 days from now. And who knows, honestly, who knows what else has kind of happened behind closed doors. We've heard, like I said, we've heard of two incidents. He was late for the North London derby, and then now this breach where he ended up getting a tattoo. And like I said, maybe there's something that the club isn't really maybe telling us. Maybe there's more stuff behind the scenes that has happened in the last year or two, and they're just kind of not saying it right now. But for me, this kind of started last season with Aubameyang. I remember there was like a shoot. It was either a commercial or something for new gear, for new Arsenal gear. Maybe it was a new kit. I can't remember exactly. And Aubameyang was in that commercial or the shoot, whatever you want to call it, and he just looked like he was straight up pissed. Like, he looked mad. And I remember at the time thinking, like, this is something that we might want to kind of mark down and reference back to a little bit later on, because it wasn't really out of character. Like, we all think of Aubameyang as this happy guy who likes to have a good time, who likes to crack jokes, just a fun dude. And for him to shoot that commercial spot, whatever it was, and be kind of mad, and he really looked like he was pissed. I kind of thought to myself, maybe this is something that we, should mark down and come back to a little bit later. And I remember it received some flack even on Twitter. I know a lot of people said, what the heck is going on? Like, he's usually basically just regurgitating exactly what I just said. He's a fun guy. He likes to have fun. And, seeing him very, very serious and almost mad was completely out of Aubameyang's character, at least at the time. So unfortunately, captains getting stripped isn't a new thing at Arsenal. We saw the same thing happen with Xhaka when he threw the armband on the floor and kind of looked at the fans in a funny way and said, yeah, I'm gonna walk off, when he was being substituted off. And I said right then and there's no place like that for a captain of any club, let alone Arsenal, one of the biggest clubs in the world, because it just depends on the person and how high you hold your captain, like at the standard that you hold your captains to. I hold them at a very high standard. I think they should be a reflection of the club. Your captain should be a reflection of the club. And at that time, I didn't think Xhaka was a reflection of the club. Throwing an armband and having a hissy fit on the pitch when I believe we were down in that match. Can't remember against who it was. But it's just unacceptable. And I think that he should have received punishment as well for what he did at the time. And I went as far as saying, I think that he should be sold, or he should never play for Arsenal again. When it comes to Aubameyang, I think all options need to be evaluated. He's 32 years of age, so he's not a very old player. But the thing that kind of does, scare me a little bit about Aubameyang is he used to rely on his speed a lot, which he hasn't used to his advantage lately in the last, I would say, year to year and a half probably. I just feel like his time is up, and this could be kind of like the last little incident that kind of sets it forward. And I know fans are going to be very pissed with how this has gone down, because he was a fan favorite for a very long time. And all of a sudden, these little things start to happen, and now we're at this point where it's like the point of no return almost. He's just not producing as much as he used to. He's missed a lot of sitters this season. I can count 2 or 3 probably off the top of my head. The Everton miss at the end of the match, where he kind of looked and said, like, oh, well, like, whatever, I missed the target. When the goal would have, at least we would have drawn Everton, a very poor Everton side who, again, got beat this past weekend. But it just doesn't look like he cares, and who knows what's going on with him and Mikel Arteta. I think that there's really something brewing there. It feels like they haven't gotten along for a while now, maybe, like I said, a year to a year and a half. So I think all things are going to have to be evaluated. I think that it's beyond, like, the relationship between Arteta and Aubameyang is beyond repair. I know that there's a lot of players who are kind of on the outside looking in, like Pepe doesn't play much. You could tell there's a photo of him against, it was the Everton match where he's on the bench. He looked pissed as well. And Kedia doesn't want to sign a new deal, yet he's kind of been playing more, ironically enough. It's been such an up and down season for Arsenal, both on the pitch and off of it. It has been worse, but this is kind of, it feels like when it gets bad, it just gets really bad, and when it gets good, we win 5 or 6 matches, and we have a lot of players who look really good. But I think this could really be the end of Aubameyang, especially, like I said. I think if there's something with him and Arteta, I mean, more often than not, the player is going to get sold before the manager gets sacked. There's only probably 2 or 3 players in the world that, if they had an issue with the manager would go and that the player would stay, and that's probably like Messi and Ronaldo, and I don't know who else. Maybe just the 2 of them still, to tell you the truth. But yeah, and when we take a look at who the next Arsenal captain could be, it's probably going to be one of the younger players. Like, we've heard Ramsdale, we've heard White, we've heard Gabriel. The only thing with Gabriel is that there's a little language barrier there, which is a big issue for me. I think you have to be able to communicate with all your players the best of your abilities, and then obviously it helps immensely if you speak the language. But I think that the next captain should be, and also Odegaard was someone whose name was kind of thrown out there. Even last season when he was on loan, I remember folks were saying that if he stays here, he could be an option as a future captain. There's Kieran Tierney, there's Ramsdale. The thing with Kieran Tierney is, I feel like we're still at the point where Nuno Tavares still plays some matches, where he starts some matches. So name Kieran Tierney your captain. I don't know if that makes sense, unless he's going to be named the full-time left back, and Tavares only fills in certain matches. I think Aaron Ramsdale would have a good shout for that. I think he's been our best player this season. He loves the football club. He's very passionate, and I think that would reflect what Arsenal is all about. And in conclusion, I think Aaron Ramsdale would be the perfect captain for Arsenal Football Club going forward.